Thanks for checking out the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to see me play your deck, hang out with me in the amazing BoshNRoll community in Discord, access to my lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, book an individual coaching session, or just generally want to support what's going on here, check out the Patreon and YouTube membership options. For the finest Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, use code BoshNRoll for 10% off your order at coalesceapparel.shop. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. If you want to play what I'm playing, use my affiliate link to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com and play any deck anytime on Magic Online with a cardhoarder.com loan account. Thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back for another BoshNRoll video. Today, at the request of Patreon subscriber Vic Vega, I am playing Vintage. And this is a spicy twist on a fairly established archetype. Over the run of Eternal Weekend tournaments, there was the Asia one, the America one, and the online one. I was surprised by... Oh, and Four Seasons was the week before that. Across those four tournaments, I was kind of surprised by the prevalence of Esper, both as PO and as Tinker. Grixis giving you Pyroblast is just such a huge thing. Grixis also offers Breach. Red has the best artifact removal. It was just strange to see White doing so well. And this list, Vic Vega, was inspired by one of the second place Eternal Weekend lists, which was this Esper Tinker deck. But he wanted to put a twist on it. And the original deck had 2 copies of Lavinia, Azorius Renegade, which he replaced with 2 Displacer Kittens. And this isn't just LOL, look at this cat. There's the fact that this deck has 3 Teferis in it. Teferi is one of the reasons to be Esper, the other one being Monastery Mentor for the most part. And Teferi is just such a monster in Vintage. We've seen Teferi in every format where he's legal. He's banned in Pioneer. This is obviously a great card. But Vintage particularly, a lot of the interaction tries to be as low to the ground as possible, which means you see Flusterstorm as a major piece of main deck counter magic. I even have 2 in this deck right here. And Flusterstorm doesn't hit Teferi. Then once Teferi resolves, Vintage is very bad at removing it. The aforementioned Pyroblast is pretty much the best tool in the format to do it. If you're in a non-red matchup of some sort, they're going to have to attack it. I have 1 Prismatic Ending in this deck, which, for the cost of probably a tutor and then 3 additional mana, I could try to remove Teferi and then get Flusterstormed. This thing is just a monster. In the finals of Eternal Weekend Paris 2019, it was an Esper mirror, but my opponent had Teferi and I didn't. And this thing resolved in game 3, and my opponent won Eternal Weekend because of Teferi. We had been jockeying for position over resolving the first paradoxical outcome. I had a handful of Flusterstorms. I think I had a Hercules recall to stuff his first PO. But instead he played Teferi Time Raveler, which none of my spells interacted with, and then none of my spells interacted with anything after that. And this card's nutso. Sometimes you see 1 or 2 in decks like this. This one has 3. And that gives us the combo with Displacer Kitten. Displacer Kitten, if you haven't seen this before, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you have Teferi Time Raveler in play, and Displacer Kitten, and cast any 0-cost card, which this deck plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This deck plays 7 of them. It even works with Soul Ring. If you tap Soul Ring, bounce it, get it going, it taps for more than it costs, so does Mana Vault. Yeah, it works with those too. They can even be in play when you start the chain. If you bounce it with Teferi or cast it from your hand, then you replay it, and Displacer Kitten flickers Teferi, who comes back with 4 loyalty, and then bounces that 0-cost card again, and then repeat, and you get to draw a card and make mana each time you do this. You will eventually have your deck in your hand, and it's not infinite mana because Teferi draws a card and you'll eventually run out of cards, but it's enough mana to do whatever you need to do. At some point, you'll find Monastery Mentor and Time Walk, you'll assemble Vault Key, and all of it under the watchful eye of Teferi's static ability, because making your opponent unable to interact. Messed up stuff. Karn is also a messed up card in the Vintage format. Null Rod affects most decks in a significant way. And look at our mana base. We have 16 lands and then 11 artifacts. 2 of them don't make mana. 9 mana artifacts that we do count on to get our spells off the ground. And Null Rod just shuts down a third of our mana base. Tough beats there. And one of our combos, our primary win con, Null Rod also gets. And Karn is a one-sided version of that. Karn also combos with Displacer Kitten. If you have Displacer Kitten and Karn, you can minus Karn to get Lion's Eye Diamond, play Lion's Eye Diamond, flicker Karn, reset his loyalty back to 5, then wish for Tormod's Crypt, that's the T word I'm looking for, Tormod's Crypt, play that, flicker Karn, both of these cost 0. Then you can sack Lion's Eye Diamond for mana, float 3, then Torpor Orb yourself, which results in Torpor Orb, I keep saying Torpor Orb, Tormod's Crypt yourself, Tormod's Crypt exiles the Lion's Eye Diamond and itself, because it's in the graveyard as part of the cost before its ability goes off. And then Karn can get artifacts from out of the game or exile, which is where your Lion's Eye Diamond and Tormod's Crypt now are, and you can repeat this loop until you have infinite mana. This one is an infinite mana loop. And then you can Walking Ballista or whatever you want to do once you have enough mana to win. And I guess technically, the Teferi loop will eventually result in a Karn loop. So Teferi does represent infinite mana in this deck. It just takes another step. So there's infinite mana, there's infinite Monastery Mentor tokens plus Time Walk. You can assemble Vault Key. If you get this Displacer Kitten in play with either of your Planeswalkers, the game is over. Obviously, that's kind of a big ask. It's a 4-mana blue spell in a format that usually doesn't take 4 turns for a game to end. It's a format, like I said, with main deck Pyroblast. A lot to ask to get Displacer Kitten into play. But we are also a Tinker Bolas' Citadel deck, and Citadel ripping into Kitten could make it happen. And we could also just, do Urza Saga for Vault. Why is this Voltaic Key, not Manifold Key? I gotta change that. A Manifold Key printed in M20 has all the same words as Voltaic Key on it, but can also make a creature unblockable. As much as I like playing the classics, we're also an Urza Saga deck, and an unblockable 8/8 might just end a game, so this has to be Manifold Key. Very broken Esper Tinker deck with a little Kitten as a treat. We're also playing Mind Twist, which is a card that used to be a huge player in Vintage, but I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm very excited about. I'm going to make a couple changes to this sideboard right now. Inkwell Leviathan, I can't imagine that being necessary ever. We have Sphinx of the Steelwind as a Tinkerpot already, and I'm going to cut that. And Capsize is very interesting. Like, if you ever set up a stable board with Tolarian Academy and Capsize, it's a good time, but I don't think that's where I want to be with my life. I'm going to put a Hurkyl's Recall in, and I'm deciding if I want a repeal or a second Herx. It's a second Herx. Okay, I feel better about that. There's also not a Mental Misstep in this deck. I'm going to replace one of the Spell Pierces with that. Just tuning up the edges here before we jump in. Other than those, this thing looks ready to go, and those have been fixed, so let's go do this. This is Vintage Esper Kitten Tinker. I'm on the play in round 1. I have a pretty solid Saga hand if my opponent is a deck that's soft to Flusterstorm. And Saga is a pretty good tool against the decks that are not soft to Flusterstorm. I'm going to keep. And I'm going to lead on the Sapphire in case my opponent is, or I guess it doesn't matter if they're a Force of Vigor deck, because the Sapphire would have to resolve before they could force both of my permanents. But just making sure I don't get randomly clowned by a main deck Force of Vigor. Mox Pearl. Mox Jet. And a Crypt. Uh-oh. Oh. Remember when I said Karn is fucking unbeatable in this format? This is what I'm talking about. Yep. Cool. Now my Mox is dead. Guess I should have floated blue, but they could have just passed faces. It doesn't matter. All right. well, there's that. And, okay. I actually drew a good card. Relief. I can Demonic Tutor here for Force of Will. It's not pretty, but I'm just dead to Lattice if I don't. They won their Crypt Flip. Saga knows how to make constructs now. Karn's making a wish. Wished for Sensei's top. That's annoyingly responsible. I'm gonna let that happen. My plan now is... oh god, they had Tolarian Academy also. Well, this Urza Saga is probably going to ruin my plan, but my plan has to be some version of Resolve Tinker. Gotta figure out how to do that. I could vamp now, but that won't. I won't have 3 mana for Tinker because artifacts don't work. I'll float a colorless, and I'll get this. Really doesn't matter. I'll get Soul Ring, and I could try to ponder, find a blue source. I actually need to ponder for the blue or black source. If ponder doesn't find a black source, I won't have 3 mana to tinker with next turn. Okay, I'll shuffle this one, and there's Kitten. All right, I'm good here. Turn 1 Karn. And that's exactly what I was talking about with Planeswalkers in the deck tech. I had 2 Flusterstorms in my hand, and my opponent just cast a card that I could not ever beat. I don't know if this is a blue deck that just looked like a mono brown deck for 1 game, or if they actually do have Mishra's Workshop somewhere in their deck. The Urza Saga, the Tolarian Academy, those are cards that could be in blue decks or non-blue decks. And the big difference there is Hurkyl's Recall. I want these Force of Negations and my Sphinx. Important to note that Capsize that I cut could bounce Karn, where Hurkyl's Recall can't. And I don't have a Chain of Vapor or a Repeal in the list. I think that's mostly fine. And the job is to counter Karn, not to let it happen at all. I want Sphinx if they're shops, but I don't want it if they're blue. I do have Prismatic Ending, which... the only way I can get 4 different colors is with artifacts, which Karn turns off, so that doesn't answer Karn either. Mental Misstep and Flusterstorm are cards that I want if they're blue and I don't want if they're shops. Oh, this is a tough beat. Okay. Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep. Maybe Yawgmoth's Will is just a little clunky regardless. Right, I'm going to shave Yawg-Will for the Sphinx and just try to split the difference here. I probably should have played it out and make them kill me just to figure out, see if they show me any more information, but they had me dead on board with the things they had. They didn't need to add anything else. This hand has the Force, but it's not doing anything else that I wanted to do. No mulligan. This one has Vault Key, but no backup. I could just go in, Mana Vault time, Vault go, and then Manifold Key, hope I'm alive. God, if one of these cards at random, even the Ancestral, was a blue source. I'm not keeping this hand, but damn, is it tempting. Okay, now I'm on 5 cards. If I keep this, I have Force Blue card, Sensei's Top, and then I can keep Manifold Key or Mana Vault. He gets me halfway to a combo, Vault gets me off the ground doing anything. I think I have to send the Vamp Tutor, because I don't have black. Keeping this hand though. Vamp Tutor, and in Manifold Key plus Mana Vault is a lot of mana, but I have nothing to do with all of that. I think the top has to be involved in this hand. I'm going to send the key, and I'm just going to play top. I can spin in my next upkeep, try to hit the next mana source, and I'm just going to wait on Mana Vault. Mox Pearl, we've seen this before. Black Lotus, Karn me daddy. And a Crypt. Urza Saga. Oh, well, they're 2 for 2 on that one. Uh-oh. They are a blue deck. They cracked Black Lotus for blue, casting Brainstorm. And they had Flusterstorm. And we're out. Okay. Sometimes you just turn 1, you're restricted 4-drop twice, and the game ends. That's vintage. Off we go. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and every other format you'll see on this channel. They have multiple customizations so you can view your deck how you want. Text view, stacks, grid, custom grouping by type, subtype, color, light mode, dark mode. However you want to see your deck, they can provide it for you. My favorite feature is you can choose your set printing, make the deck look exactly how you want it to. The deck screen features expandable sections that show you what tokens your deck makes, your recent change history to the deck, stats about mana curve and opening hand distribution, mana cost distribution. You can deal out sample hands and even play test the deck. Island Ponder. You know I'm keeping this one. This site has everything. Follow me on moxfield.com to keep up with decks I'm playing for the channel and what I'm up to in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw in round 2 against a Lurrus deck, and I have Tolarian Academy and 2 artifacts, but neither of them cost 0. I gotta send this. Bummer. Well, let's look at this. There are 15 other lands in the deck, and then 7 artifacts that cost 0. So I'm looking at 22 outs, and I have 2 draws to do it, and I do have Force of Will in the meantime. What does this hand do if I spike the land or 0 right away? It turn 2 is a Karn. 22 is somewhere between a half and a third of my deck. So 1 out of every 2.5 cards is one of the things I want, and I get 2 draw steps before I brick. Ideally 1. I think I'm just gonna mulligan. Okay, rewarded. This is how you play Magic. Don't keep sketchy 7s in London Mulligan's world. I'm gonna bottom this Brainstorm, and my plan is Monastery, Mentor, Time Walk. Right, send this Brainstorm. And I'm on the draw, so let's hope I get a turn. Oh, they know what I'm up to now. Gataxian Probe gets a peek. Mox Pearl. Mox Ruby. Strip Mine. Okay. That's mean. Okay. So that Strip Mine's actually a little bit interesting. Yawgmoth's Will is completely fucked, though, as it tends to be. I'm going to Tundra first, then Black Lotus. It didn't force my Lotus. If I go blue, blue, blue with Black Lotus, I can play Soul Ring off of that. And then white, white. Okay. Blue, blue, blue. Soul Ring. Colorless, white. Mentor. And Time Walk. Didn't have enough to protect it with a Flusterstorm, but this is a pretty good start. Just firing off a Strip Mine. If I draw a black land, we are going nuts here. Come on, Black Source. Mox Jet even better than land. There's a Saga. Disappointing. But they did fire off their Strip Mine on my Tundra, and not my Urza Saga. So a plan is coming together here. And the second we draw a Black Source, we're just going insane. Because it get to Yawg Will, cast Black Lotus, cast Time Walk, all of which trigger Mentor. Aggressive Iteration. Okay, playing fair over there. We know they're not a Tinker deck because Lurrus. That's the only information we really have at this point. They're bobbling me. And I'm getting a turn. Black Source? Another Saga. Okay. Sure. I'll play it. I can make a construct this turn, and then I can tutor up Mox Jet off the Saga pop, and then go crazy. Or at least try to. Mox Sapphire. Brainstorm. Interesting they used their Volcanic Island and not their Sapphire to Brainstorm. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Are they going to gush this turn? Is that what that means? Third pass. Iconoclast. Oh, I could lose. Oh, they don't have Breach mana up. But yeah, this Iconoclast is going to come up the board pretty hard. It was a pretty good Monastery Mentor impression. End step, make a little 2/2. And let's see what comes off the top of the deck here. Uh-oh. Well, that makes this a lot easier. Make it 2/2. Or now it's a 3/3. Tutor up Mox Jet. A 4/4. Mox Jet. Valerian Academy. Get wrecked. I have 4 5/6 mana right now, and they know I'm holding Storm. Okay, Dogwheel. Pretty solid magic card. The Force of Willed. I know I have the Fluster. Storm is 2. Fluster the Force. It could fluster me back. My Mentor is becoming huge throughout this exchange. I have 2 mana floating. Okay, we did it. Nice. Okay, yeah, that was a showcase of how Vintage works. Round 1, we just lost on turn 1 twice, and then we had a scrappy little Monastery Mentor versus Third Path Iconoclast beat down. Swords to Plowshares looks like something I'm interested in for this matchup. Looks like it's going to be pretty low to the ground. I kind of expect Breach in a at least red adjacent Polaris strategy. Third Path Iconoclast, pretty powerful with Breach. Don't know what that means for my sideboard plan. My deck seems pretty reboarded solid for this matchup, other than the plows. Can shave a Mystical Tutor if we're going to get scrappy rather than go fast. I like that option. I think Citadel's going to be better than Sphinx in this matchup. I don't want to board out a Kitten. That is the correct answer, but I don't want to do it. I'm going to shave a Treasure Cruise. I think Dig Through Time is better. I don't know that we'll have time to resolve 2 Delve spells. That's also a high density of Delve spells with what was the Citadel in your deck? This hand is almost good. I think I am going to keep this one on spec. The possibility of turn 2 Planeswalkers raining down from above. And I do have Force and Misstep in the opener. I made a bunch of red with their Lotus. Ashing Ragavan, no thank you. Mental Misstep that. Okay, that's in the graveyard. Wasteland's kind of a beating. Dreadhorde Arcanist, no thank you to that also. Force pitching to Fairy. Alright, that was a scary turn 1 that we just navigated, but this Wasteland's going to cause me problems. I think a on-color Mox or a fetch land are my best draws right now. There's a Saga. I'll float that out there. I would rather that be destroyed than my Tundra, given my hand right now. Snapped off the Wasteland. Deal. Oh, that's a solid card to cast. And they might just Lightning Bolt it, but I'm going to put it into play. Force pitching Force. Okay. Now I need a source of blue or white mana to get my Planeswalkers off the ground. And step Brainstorm from the opponent. They're looking at 3 cards right now, and they have to put 2 back. There's a good chance they end up Brainstorm locked, or this doesn't really get off the ground. If they Wasteland me, I'm actually way behind because I'm going to be dying to my Mana Crypt until I find a way out of that. Okay, they missed. Come on, deck. Relevant sources of mana. Give them to me. Got there. I lost my Crypt Flip. Now deciding if I want to lead on Teferi or Narset. I think it's Teferi. Because they are Brainstorm locked and didn't cast another cantrip, which makes me think they don't have one. Mystical Tutor's pretty good, though. That's a way out of this. Okay, they grabbed Ancestral. Let's hope to draw Black Lotus off this bounce and punish that. Fox Ruby, disappointing. Okay, turns out Narset would have been better. Okay, I'm just going to pass, though. Teferi is in play. Back it up with Narset next turn. Yeah, that's going to work. 4 cards in their hand. Played a land that was not Wasteland and then Preordain. Their Lotus is already spent. It's a pretty hard cap of how much farther this turn can go. Alright, Displacer Kitten for the win. Let's start with Narset. There are not red cards in this deck, so Mox Ruby is the same thing as Mana Crypt, except it doesn't hurt me. Narset, get in there. Activate. Here's Mind Twist. I'm going to get Brainstorm. I think that one's going to be better here. And plus Teferi. And pass the turn. Merchant Scroll. Okay. This searches for a blue instant. Something like Chain of Vapor would be helpful. And they can't force. They can't draw cards. Yeah, Dig Through Time. That one works. Good call. They had to scroll for it. So they use their tutor to find their way to look at 2 cards. And that's going to resolve. They left the Ancestral and both creatures and Lotus in the graveyard. The cool thing about Underworld Breach and Vintage is that this could totally be a Breach deck, even with all the other creatures and stuff they've cast. The Breach package is just so tight. Black Lotus is in the graveyard already. They just need 1 Brain Freeze in their deck somewhere, and a couple of Breaches. Bobbled me. Ooh, Demonic Tutor. That can tinker. I could also Demonic Tutor for the cat, which I'm not going to do. Yeah, I think I just need to tinker here. Demonic Tutor for tinker and Mana Crypt. I'm going to sack the Crypt because I am kind of low on life to take a Citadel line here. This is why I waited on Narset and activate her to clear the Spell Pierce. But do I want Spell Pierce in my hand? Time Walk's really good, but I can't currently cast it. If I stick this Brainstorm at any point, then I can Brainstorm the Time Walk back and then take it. Yeah, I'm going to put Time Walk in my hand. All right, Black Lotus. Go. Now we're cooking. Time Vault. Tundra. Plus this to Fairy. And do I want to cast the other one? Might as well. It's to Fairy. The new one. Oh, there's Kitten. GG. Oh, they don't even want to see the Kitten? Disappointed. Okay, we did it. And that's technically a Displacer Kitten win. Put it on the map. Opponent conceded, but we have an active Teferi. We can put Kitten into play at 4 life and then go off with Mox Ruby. We did it. We did it. Next round.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
I'm on the play, and once again, I have a hand with mana problems. This deck has 16 lands in it, which is kind of a lot for a vintage deck, and it has all the normal mana rocks. I'm not sure what's going on with frequency of mulligans here, but this is a mulligan. Ooh, this one's really interesting. Unfortunately, it has 4 lands in it and not even 1 Mox. I am going to keep it though. Balance is really strong. I'm going to put one of the Sagas on the bottom, and then I'm going to play Tundra, Sensei's top. I'm trying to set up a balance here. Let's see what if they walk into it or not. The mulligan actually helps hilariously with the balance. Opponent offers me a Black Lotus. Yep, that's a good one. Oh, your shops. Disappointing. Sphere of Resistance. And passing the turn. Okay. And I can exile the Sphere with my Tolarian Academy. Here's a cool trick. You announce Prismatic Ending for 1. X equals 0. And then you have to pay 1 for the Sphere's effect. So X is currently 0, but I've spent 2 colors on this. So I can get rid of the Sphere. On curve. Easy cheaties. Through another land though, that sucks ass. You really want to dump your hand out. I hope they play a bunch of creatures this turn. Shit, shit, that one's bad. And Nettle Cyst. Okay, they did play a creature. They met me where I am on that one. Okay. I could start with Preordain, see where that goes. That sounds reasonable. Oh, that's Tinker. Put Teferi on the bottom. Tinker on the top. All right, new plan, team. I'm just going to cast Tinker next turn, unless they do something disruptive. They've missed a land drop and didn't spend... Oh, no, they didn't. They wastelanded me. Never mind. Out here talking about missed land drops. That's not true. They didn't spend their Lotus on anything, though, and they didn't cast a disruptive spell last turn. All right, they're dumping out creatures, which is kind of what I wanted. Let's hope it pays off. Okay, here we go. Scary mode activated. Oh, changed their mind. Patchwork Automaton. Okay. I don't care about that because balance kills it. Walking Ballista, X equals 1. Balance kills that too. Valerian Academy, yikes. What's the final? Karn the Great Creator. Shit. Hate that. My top 3 cards. Okay, there is a Force of Will here. And there's a Yawgmoth's Will under the Force of Will. I don't think that helps me. And I can force, which I lose the Tinker on, but I'm losing the Tinker anyway. And then I can balance this board back down to nothing. But my hand, I'm drawing the top next turn, which I can play and then balance. Yeah, that's not bad, actually. Okay, I got to keep this Karn out of play, even if it costs me my Tinker. And the flip side is I let Karn resolve, Tinker for Bolas's Citadel, and just hope it gets there versus this massive attack force, and I'm going to be at a much lower life total. All right. Let's play one-armed idiot magic. Force pitching Tinker. Opponent's Hellbent. They get to attack me for 4. And then I kill all their creatures, which also kills all their artifacts. Draw Sensei's Top and play Saga. They're Hellbent already, so balance isn't going to get anything out of their hand. Play Sensei's Top. Balance. Now I got to decide. I want to keep the Saga that's going to give me a shuffle. So I'm going to sack the new Saga. If I find a land, or if I find a mana source, I could just keep both Sagas, lose the Tundra. Does that make any sense? Then I would get to make a construct next turn. Okay, I'm casting Balance. If I lose the Tundra, I can tap my older Saga, floating color, tutor up Mox Sapphire, make... Yeah, okay. I'm actually going to sack the Tundra. Keep both Sagas. And you lose all your creatures. We're both Hellbent already. We have the same number of lands now. And let's do this thing. Don't draw a Wasteland. How about that? Yeah! Alright. That balance took a few minutes to find the spot for, but we did it. Right there. An aggressive creaturey slant on Shops. Pithing Needle. Towards the Plowshares I like. A lot of cards coming in here. Cluster Storm's out. Mental Missteps out. Spellpair is kind of awkward because it does have good hits in the matchup. Bolas's Citadel out. Citadel's bad against both spheres and attacking creatures, which are the 2 things that their deck is. I do want Mystical and Vamp Tutor for this matchup. I want all of my busted cards. Yawgwill, Unreliable versus Spheres. Treasure Cruise, once again kind of slow. Mind Twist on the draw is not going to be good enough. Need all my mana sources. Prismatic Ending actually won me that game. That was perfect, clearing that sphere on turn 1, and then they didn't have another way to do that. Narset digs for more cards. Teferi can help stabilize the board and is also my combo out. Yeah, I think Narset is the worst card left here. My opponent's just not going to draw any cards. That's not what their deck does. Spell Pierce is the other contender, but I like Spell Pierce on a Karn or even a mid-game Sphere. Well, there's the Balance again, but this is not a keepable hand. It's already on 6 because it's holding the Sphinx, and once again, mana problems. Very interesting. Okay, force blue card and some stuff to do. I'll keep this and send the Sphinx to the bottom, which means that my blue card is Dig Through Time, which I don't really want to pitch, but have a hand here with a lot of potential. Ancient Tomb, Mox Emerald, Foundry Inspector. I'll let them have Foundry Inspector. Mox Pearl, Mana Crypt, Underground Sea. Does this do anything? I could Prismatic Ending their Mox Emerald, but that seems kind of anemic in the face of Foundry Inspector, reducing the cost of all their stuff. I can't get up to 3 colors here, just 2. But casting Prismatic Ending does get things closer to Dig Through Time, which I'm likely to pitch to Force Cistern anyway, so I'm off it. Phyrexian Metamorph. Okay. This is going to be another Foundry Inspector, and then their deck's going to be free to cast. Patchwork Automaton. Yep. I'm all in at this point. Metal Cyst. Alright. I guess I need to draw that balance. How about that? Okay. The sphere, I have prismatic ending for. Am I getting another turn? I go to 17 here, and then 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm at 3 on the board, and they have 1 card left. Okay, I'm going to try to use my life total as a resource and go broken at some point here. They're running out of cards in their hand. I can prismatic ending the sphere using the same trick. That's out of here. And pass the turn. I'm at 3 life on board. 3 Fleet Wheel Cruiser has haste, so I'm going to have to force this. This puts me to 1 on board because they just pumped the automaton and I take 1 from force. If their last card in hand is an artifact, I'm dead. All right, you got me. 5, 10, 16, correct. All right. Wild game. Maybe I should have forced the first inspector. I don't know. Do I want Mind Twist on the play? If I want Mind Twist, this is the time to do it. Spell Pierce is much better on the play. Maybe Force some Negation's not that good because most of their deck is creatures, and I'll bring the Mind Twist in and try to just get them. Okay, let's do it. Okay, another balance hand, which we've learned is actually pretty good in this matchup. I'm going to keep Tundra, Mox Emerald, Mana Vault, and pass the turn. I don't mind running the Tundra out. I have another one. Balance is going to kill some lands anyway. Don't mind if I get wasted. That Swords of Plowshares is a nice breathing room. Top. Automaton. This has Ward 2. Jet. Pearl. Yeah, if they have more Moxen than I do, then balance could hurt my hand a lot. It's Black Lotus. And the balance still stabilizes this board. It just cost me more than I wanted it to. Sphere of Resistance is fine. Not that I could do anything about it. 4 mana. Are they metamorphing? They are metamorphing. Probably going to copy Sphere. Yep. Okay, so it would cost me 5 mana to plow this automaton between the spheres and the board. And I do have 5 mana. Oh, I also have Hurkyl's Recall, which I'm not sure is even good. I'll play the Tundra, and balance actually is just a huge blowout in the wrong direction right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can Herx or plow as needed here. If I Herx end step, untap balance, that's a play. I'm going to float a white. Probably just taking 6 here and going for the big balance. In the end step, Herx you, blue, 2, 3, 4. 4 mana spell, put those in your hand. I would love to draw a Mox or something I can dump out of my hand right now. Says top. That qualifies. Okay. I get to play top, fetch for Underground Sea, then slam balance. They get to keep 1 card. I get to keep Swords to Plowshares. I'd rather have white or black. Probably white. I'm holding Swords to Plowshares. I'm going to keep the Tundra. Okay, what 1 card would you like to keep? And we know all but one of their hands, so we should be able to deduce what they're up to over there. I think keeping the sphere is reasonable. Right, they discarded the sphere, they kept the creature, okay. Automaton beatdown. My Mana Vault is in play, dealing damage to me. Not ideal. I'm going to spin top in the upkeep. Found Brainstorm, which found a fetch land. If I want to turn this plow into something else, I could also just draw this basic island and plow automaton next turn. If I was going to do that, I should have put the polluted delta under it. That's not too late. You can always move things around with top. That's the great thing about top. There's a Saga with no mana to make constructs. God, you have Karn. Oh no, this is Walking... Oh, Lodestone Golem. That's worse than Walking Ballista, but actually it's fine. I can just plow this. I'm taking 2 here. I'm going to plow the Lodestone Golem now and not the Automaton. The Golem is both bigger and hurts me more. I'm drawing Brainstorm now. Now I'm glad I stacked things in the order that I did. And let's take a look. Monastery Mentor, okay. If I put Blooded Strand and Mentor back, and play Polluted Delta, and pass the turn, and then I can do the old Miracles trick of using top to draw Mentor during my upkeep. Then I draw top, and I'm guaranteed a Mentor trigger. Oh, that Ancient Tomb was a good draw to go with the Urza Saga. I am at 6 and dying quickly. God, that Ancient Tomb sucks ass. In my upkeep, I go to 5. I cannot afford to do that. I'm going to draw with top. I'm going to draw top. And I take 1 down to 5. And I fetch down to 4. I'm in danger. Underground Sea, Monastery Mentor, and Sensei's Top for a trigger. I'm going to be at 2 going into this next turn. Oh no. Yeah, I'm going to die to my Mana Vault unless I find Tinker and tinker it away. That Ancient Tomb off the top. I would have been stable and doing fine if they couldn't do all this, but they can. And they can tutor up some powerful artifact. They've already used their Lotus. Oh, Ginger Brute. I'm just dead. Foundry Inspector. Yeah, Ginger Brute is a free attack. Having a castable artifact kills me. Yep, I chump, lose. I guess, I mean, my deck has Tinker in it, so I'll block, and try to be alive somehow. It's spinning in my upkeep and drawing a card spinning and then drawing a card with top, I think are the same thing here. Okay, I gotta draw Tinker. Time Walk. Go to 1. Alright. I'll look at my top 3 cards. Dig through time. It's a good one. Top. We gotta go vintage here, folks. Draw a card. Dig through time has to hit a mana source, or I could time walk first, but I'm not a coward. Okay. So I need to find a mana source and Tinker out of this dig. Dig through time. Did not find Tinker. I did find Swords to Plowshares. There is a mana source in Mox Ruby. The fairy can bounce my mana vault, but that's not helpful. The top is still there. How do I get the deepest into my deck? So I'm required to take Ruby or I lose. And then Plow doesn't help. I guess it's just top. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana in play. That is enough to play and spin top next turn. Yep, Ruby and top are back. Mox Ruby. Time Walk. Go to 1. Vintage. So now I'm at 1. Tinker doesn't even win. I'm not even sure if it won before that. I take 1 from this. I Sensei's Top and spin the top and did not find Tinker. All right, GG's. Yeah, I did what I could. I put them hellbent, emptied their everything. I had top for selection. They didn't, and they runnered Urza Saga into Ancient Tomb to activate it. And what are you going to do? That's magic. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. I'm on the play in round 4 with a hand that can turn 1 time vault and then do nothing. It's like I have Force Will, but my hand's really not doing anything. I'm gonna mulligan. This is vintage. Use your London mulligan. All right, I got the Kitten. This is for sure a keep. I could send Mentor to the bottom and lean in on Kitten for the content. I could bottom Kitten and lead on Mentor to try to actually win the game. It's actually a close call. I'm going Kitten. Hook it to my veins. This is exactly the type of hand that could crank out a Kitten faster than it has any right to, and I'm going to try to do that. I get Tundra because that casts to Fairy, which is the other half of my combo. Soul Ring, Mana Vault, pass a turn. Next turn, I can Preordain and Kitten, and hope that something comes up in my top 4 cards and that I'm not dead. Flooded Strand, go. All right. A vintage hand with Flooded Strand, go is clearly highly reactive. Lots of mean spells over there. Oh, Black Lotus is a good one. It also triggers Displacer Kitten. When you cast a non-creature spell, exile to one target non-land permanent. Okay, so this can flicker Soul Ring or Mana Vault. I could just lead on Kitten here and try to go crazy. Okay, Displacer Kitten's on the stack. Displacer Kitten resolved. Black Lotus and flicker my Mana Vault. Gonna get Swords to Plowshared here, or Lightning Bolted. Pyroblast in play rather than Pyroblast on the stack. Okay. They gave it a second to breathe and decided they needed to deal with this. All right, Preordain, find me some gas. Tinker. Bottom these. Bottom. Tinker. Shit. All right. Well, all dressed up with nowhere to go at this point. Wasteland, that has a pretty good target. It's actually not even a big deal. Like, obviously, Academy is great, but look at all this mana I have. Oh, look who decided to show. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do have Yogwill in my deck, but I think just not using my Lotus or using my Vault is the way to go here. Oh, a second Kitten. I'm going to sandbag these Moxen in case Kitten wants to do crazy shit next turn. And they didn't Pyroblast Treasure Cruise when I was Hellbent. They clearly don't have it. Oh, your Oath. Cool. Well, yeah, unfortunately, Displacer Kitten flickering my token removes the token, but Kitten itself is a creature, so I can't, there's nothing sneaky here. If I draw a good card right now, though, we get to go crazy. Very shit. All right. Urza's Saga's coming in. Spirit token is attacking. We're gonna get oathed by whatever this oath has for us. And they have Orchard, so I don't need to worry about holding back Kitten, so I don't give them 2 oath activations, because they already have them. Okay, here it comes. I haven't seen oath in a very long time. Though I know Justin Ganari, I am actually level 1, has been a proponent of it in the initiative metagame. Okay, Sarah's Emissary. Can I win without creatures? Can I remove this thing? 2 good questions. Protection from creatures. How do I win this game? I don't know that I can. Oh, Teferi can bounce Sarah's Emissary, and then we go. All right. Yep, deal. Oath Milled, Probe, Narset, Volcanic Island, Oko, Flusterstorm. Okay, Teferi is still a win. Playing Visaggio as a land. Tapping Orchard for white. Okay. No. And I don't have an instant. Any instant would flicker Kitten. Okay, Teferi is no longer a win, but it's still good if I could clear this Emissary. And I drew Polluted Delta instead of a good card. I guess I just dump out my Moxen now to make the largest possible constructs. Not that that matters. You and creatures you control. Okay, I can still attack Planeswalkers. I get another Oath trigger. Second Emissary. Oh no. Is this the plan? Just protection from everything? If they named Planeswalker, I can't win anymore. Okay, they chose instant. Cool. They milled over a Gaia's Blessing. See most of their deck here. Renin 6, Pyroblast, Dak Vaden. They are a rug oath. Wasteland, stop! I'm trying to do anything here, and you're not letting me do anything. Having to do this first means that Oko can elk it. It made a food instead. And Teferi is still a good draw here. Come on, Teferi. Teferi. Oh my god. Alright, well, taking infinite turns is not bad either. I could just hurl my board. Oh, they have 14 power flying. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Alright, concede the game. Disappointing. We had multiple shots at it there. They stopped my 2 cats and then just couldn't cash in on the cats that I had. Oath of Druids, huh? Grafdigger's Cage comes in against you. Saw multiple Planeswalkers and Renin 6, Wasteland, Thing Needle, Force of Negation. I want Swords to Plowshares. My deck can combo out over top of an Emissary. I think Balance is actually bad because they can give me creatures and protect their creatures. Like, if they have any creatures, it's because they gave me creatures. Mind Twist actually looks great. Prismatic Ending's good. This list, I gotta say, does not sideboard very well. just with all these Teferis being part of the combo, it's really hard to trim on what would otherwise be kind of chunky cards. I'm gonna have to combo them out, so might be crazy, but I think I'm gonna cut Mentor. This is also a deck that punishes me for having creatures. Citadel's good. Sphinx is not. I have all these cards that I'd kind of want to bring in, but maybe it's just Cage and Needle, and I focus on my own business here. I have Prismatic Ending, the Force of Wills, and 3 Teferis that can buy time against Oath. They did show me a ton of Planeswalkers with Oko, Dak, and Ren and 6, and Narset, which is reasons to want Force of Negation. But I just don't know where I'm going to put it. At some point, I'm just not executing a plan anymore because I'm reacting too much to theirs. On the play, I can keep this. I'm going to invest in Mana Vault, and then Time Walk into Urza Saga, back it all up with Force of Will. Opponent kept 7. Played Boseiju as a land. Interesting. I don't have to worry about Pyroblast or Flusterstorm right now. I'm going to Saga and then Time Walk. They Force of Willed that. Okay. I don't even mind that deal. I'll take him to Turok in this spot and keep up Force, because if they just go land Oath here. Okay, Wasteland. I have a backup Saga. They're currently reacting to me, which is a posture I don't mind. Oh, there's Teferi. The Tef Father. I could have played Academy and dropped Teferi. I don't think Teferi is where I need to be right now. Okay. I'm getting a Spirit, and I'm going to force the Oath. If they force back, Teferi can bounce it. If they don't force back, I'm just going to do Saga stuff. Ooh, another Force of Will. That's really good. Larian Academy. Back for 1. Okay, I got some options here. I can make a construct and then cast Teferi. And then if that resolves, which I expect it will because they didn't fight over Oath, if that resolves, Teferi can bounce Mana Vault, replay it so it's untapped, or I can plus Teferi, be ready to bounce an Oath. I could also just do nothing and hold up Force of Will. I'm not in the do nothing space. You make a cool vintage play, I'm going to do it. Play Teferi, and I am going to bounce the Vault. Oh wow, they've had quite enough. Good stuff. Yeah, bouncing the Vault, with my mana floating there, I could have at minimum replayed Vault, and if I draw some blue spell, I could either cast it or just hold it with my Force Blue card. Now I'm on the draw. Our Force of Negation's more interesting to me on the draw. Maybe. Cruise and Dig, I like. I mean, Flusterstorm can help me win Counter Wars, help me push my spells through, but it doesn't counter Oath or any of the million Planeswalkers we saw, and kind of side grade Flusterstorm into Force of Negation. I like Yogg-Will. I think I've said this numerous times, but I'm going to need to go Broken to win this game. And Yogg-Will and Grafdigger's Cage kind of step on each other, but if Cage is in play, then hopefully I don't need Yogg-Will. A little awkward, but I can deal with that. I think I'm going to split the difference with the Force of Will, or Force of Negation and Flusterstorm. In we go. Well, I have Force, and I can Mystical Tutor for Ancestral. I'm going to keep this. Tutor can get Ancestral or Tinker if I find the mana to Tinker. Like, if I just draw Mana Vault or Mana Crypt, we're in business there. Tropical Island to go. Mental Misstep, alright. I'll probably fetch Basic Island here. Gitaxian Probe. Yep, get a good look. I could misstep this, but I think my hand does enough that it can look. If I misstep Gitaxian Probe and then the Ancestral Recall, I'm going to feel like an asshole. Null Rod. Come on. Okay. What does Null Rod do specifically that I care about? I mean, my deck is wildly soft to Null Rod. My hand currently doesn't care about it, but I am working on thin resources here. I will try to force this, pitching a Teferi. Okay, that worked. Jet, and they're passing the turn. I'm going to Mystical for Ancestral off of Basic Island here. The Pithing Needle is in my hand or Wasteland, but I'd prefer play around it if I can. In case this doesn't deliver a mana source. Ancestral myself. Reload. Oh, sick. Yeah, that was pretty good. Mox Pearl. Mox Jet. Hitting Needle on Wasteland. And the Urza Saga. They just saw all 3 cards I drew off Ancestral. They are working off perfect information at this moment. Fairy can bounce an Oath. If they have land, Oko, Elk, the Pithing Needle, Wasteland, your Saga, that's pretty good. Here's the land. Oh, no, they're fetching. They might have exactly what I described. Hey, it's that line I said. Yep. Looks familiar. Wasteland, might as well float. It's free. I can attack Oko and play Teferi this turn. Whoa! Get the fuck out. That was bad. Never mind. Jesus Christ. Right, opponent is Hellbent, but it doesn't matter, because if we remember Oko, this card can never be killed in combat. If they just elk their Mox, then Oko gets to run roughshod over this whole game forever. That was a fucked up Force of Vigor. Do I even attack? I mean, I guess now is the time to attack. While Oko's at 3 and they have to block. Next turn, they just don't have to block anymore. And I don't get anything out of the deal. Wow, this is bad. You're making food. And Gaia's Blessing, targeting Force of Vigor, 3 lands. This does cantrip. Can I get some lands going here, maybe? Okay, I got a land going here, maybe. I could play out Time Vault, which I don't even mind if it gets elked, because then I'm providing pressure, and Displacer Kitten can flicker the elk back into a Time Vault at some point. They've elked my Time Vault. The Time Vault looks beautiful as a green creature. Say what you want about Oko, that looks good. Okay, here's Teferi. Okay, fetch. I'm going to go for Teferi pre-combat. See what they got for me. Nothing yet. Back Oko. If I minus Teferi, they can kill it with the elk. If I plus Teferi, alright, I'm going to plus Teferi. And I can't minus on the, well, I can minus on the food. They can gain 3 life in response and I don't get to draw a card, but at least Teferi's alive and not under pressure. I don't get to draw a card either way, but one way I get to remove their stuff. Alright, I'm doing that. Go ahead, fizzle my Teferi activation. Oh, they didn't gain 3 life. Probably should have done that. That worked out as good as possible. And I'm holding Displacer Kitten. Teferi's in play. If I draw a 0, I win. Made a food. Orchard. Okay. Any 0 cost artifact here does it. Vamp Tutor. That's pretty solid. I'm going to plus Teferi. And I'm going to go for Karn. Karn. I can just pick off the food here. Alright, I feel like I'm winning the Planeswalker fight at this point. Unless they go Oath Time Walk, I'm feeling pretty good. Oh wow. Dug out of that one. Somehow outmaneuvered the Oko. Opponent did miss the fizzle on gain 3 life off food, so I don't draw a card. But other than that, really cool deck, and I was worried about it. I thought we lost that one for sure. But they did go Hellbent to put me to low resources, and I just dug out of it first and kept the Oko honest. GG's. On to the final round. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop, and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the draw in the final round, positive record on the line. Another hand with mana problems. I do have Force of Will Vamp Tutor, but Mox Jet, if I don't draw a blue source on my first draw step, then Vamp Tutor for Ancestral doesn't do anything. I can't accelerate this Time Vault, so Vamp Tutor for Key doesn't do anything. Okay, I'm in. Keep this one and send. I could cast one of these Delve spells and pitch the other to Force, so I think I'm gonna bottom the Underground Sea. This way I can accelerate the Saga with Mox Pearl, Force of Will, and try to develop some sort of game plan here. A Caracas. Okay, looks like we're against the initiative here. Spirit of the Lab. I mean, that's annoying, but now Treasure Cruise is locked in as my pitch. There's a Saga. I'm going to deploy the Mox Pearl before Thalia can mess this up. Second Spirit, okay. A second main Wasteland me. A clown. Okay. They just kept this hand on the strength of Double Spirit. I'm in for that. I'm going to fetch up front because if they draw Wasteland, I don't want them to be able to catch me with my fetch land uncracked. Found Kitten. It's combo potential. All right, I'm going to offer the trade here. Good chance they have Swords to Plowshares. All right, they're just shoving in, trying to get it done. That's fair. Okay, they do have a Wasteland that they just drew because they didn't play it last turn. Saga. It cannot be stopped. Okay, pass a turn. I'm going to go to 10 from this attack. Still chilling on this Force of Will. What a weird hand. Unless they are secretly a blue deck. Is that possible? I guess anything's possible. I don't want to Time Walk yet. Box Emerald. I guess there's some world where this is like a blue-white tempo deck. Archon of Emeria. Don't really want to play against that card. Force pitching Treasure Cruise. And now is it time to pivot? Are they even going to attack? Because if I make a construct Time Vault, or Time Walk, that's a lot of damage coming their way. I'll just get the Underground Sea now. Draw for turn. Mystical Tutor. I like that card. 1, 2. Oh, maybe if I don't make a construct there, do I just win? If I float colorless, resolve my thing, get Manifold Key, Mystical Tutor for Tinker, Time Walk. I'm a mana short. Okay. Don't want Black Lotus here. Soul Ring versus Mox Sapphire is my decision. Probably Soul Ring. And I'll attack first. They have Solitude. They can win this combat, or at least stabilize the combat. They did not have Solitude. Time to Time Walk. This is where the broken blue vintage deck takes over in front of the white deck. Do I want a Mystical now? And with the Spirit still in play, Tinkering is kind of a crapshoot. I can't get Ancestral. I already Time Walked. I'm just going to draw. Blooded Strand. I'm going to make my attack. No blocks. They're just going to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can dig through time and Kitten. Or I can dig through time, try to hit Yogwill. Does that win? No, I'm short on that. That's 7. Not very much. I have Mox Pearl, which makes white. I'll get another Underground Sea. Displacer Kitten. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I could just dig on their turn, which flickers Kitten. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass. I could block Flicker, save the damage, untap with all my gas in the tank. Wasteland. And he's in Dungeoneer. This is a spirit. This is not a party member. Get to tutor for the basic land. They've already made their land drop. I'm going to dig through time in the end step and flicker the Mox Pearl, leaving Time Walk in the graveyard in case I hit Yogwill. Yeah, they've had quite enough. Nice. Another Kitten win. Displacer Kitten is undeniably powerful. It's just cost 4. It's blue. Swords to Plowshares, Torpor Orb. I don't think I want Walking Ballista here. That's not fast enough. Pinning Needle on Wasteland could keep me in the game. The Saga was pretty important there. Bluster Storm seems pretty bad. Mental Misstep. They're going to have Soul Ring. They're going to bring in Swords to Plowshares. Don't actually know. Balance seems pretty good here. But keeping the initiative out of the game is more important than keeping their board clear. I think I'm going to have to go broken against this deck. I'm going to cut Misstep, and I could see Spell Pierce being good against a Prison Beast, a Thorn of Amethyst, or what have you. Very solid. I like Yogwill. Once again, I'm going to have to go broken to beat this deck. Treasure Cruise. is both an expensive card and they have a million Spirit of the Labs. Yeah, I think this is a plan. Sphinx of the Steel Wind, they're a white deck. If they have no removal, Sphinx will get them. If they have any removal, it won't. That's a close call. I'm behind, so I'll be on the draw here. Should my Tinkers just be going for Time Vault anyway? I'm going to go no Sphinx. This is a turn 2 Tinker. I'll keep it. No interaction. This might not be good enough, but I'm getting after this turn 2 Tinker for sure. Sapphire, Plains, Thalia. Okay, Thalia is kind of annoying. How many basic islands are in this deck? Just the one. Okay, that's fine. Gonna fetch for Underground Sea, Box Emerald. Yeah, that slowed me down pretty good. Spirit of the Lab. Okay, damage is coming in quick now. I'm gonna Vamp Tutor for balance, but that seems really bad actually. Island, Mana Vault. Okay, I can Tinker next turn if that is the correct thing to do. Ancient Tomb and Null Rod. Shit. Okay, well, that's probably going to end the game. Could Vamp for balance, but I can't cast it yet. I'll just wait. Oh, Time Walk. That's a really good one right now. Urza Saga. Let's take a walk. Good hit. Go to my Urza Saga turn. Blaring Academy. The hits keep coming here. Academy 1-2 or 1-2. It can make 3 if I Saga first. It can make 2 and then also Vamp Tutor. Yeah, that's really good. Being able to make my Saga token and then also Vamp. I like it. Anointed Peacekeeper. Okay, I will respond by making a construct. They named Teferi. That jacks up my business quite a bit. If they don't name Vamp Tutor, they might just die though. Yeah, they're actually just dead if they don't name Vamp Tutor. I can get Vault Key together. Oh no, I can't. There's fucking Null Red in play. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, Teferi makes it harder to cast it and harder to activate it. It's a tough beat all around. Vampiric Tutor was the name. Okay. I get to do Teferi stuff to this game. Just gonna trade off. Got Saga going. Seems reasonable enough to me. Draw for turn. Well, there's Time Vault. Make a construct, leaving Academy up. I'm going to tutor for the Manifold Key. Threaten. And get a Tundra. For 5. Here's Teferi. And I'm going to bounce the Null Rod and win the game. Yep. Checks out. And Vault. Key to untap it. We got a Jesus in the chat. Yeah, I agree. That was a pretty good turn. Good shit. Okay, a 3-2 positive record with Esper, Displacer, Kitten, Tinker in Vintage. Something felt off about the mana in this deck, and I'm going to do a quick comparison to existing Tinker decks and just try to side-by-side these things. Like maybe it was run bads, or maybe this is actually built in some sort of questionable way. Okay, here is Esper Tinker, constructed by the Power 9, who is an excellent Vintage player. We've got 14 artifacts. These are some extra Pithing Needles in the main, but the mana is all the same. 17 lands. Okay, so Power 9 actually is 1 land up from us. He's also doing Sheoldred and Hullbreacher stuff, which is obviously a very different deck. Here's another 5-0 Esper Tinker deck. 16 lands, 13 artifacts. Okay, I mean, this is looking pretty standard, actually. A 4-color deck. Just for 17. Okay, they are up 1 from us. Our 16 versus 17 in a couple of the lists, 16 in a couple of lists. This is a pretty standard mana base. Maybe we just get some run bads, but that's what Mulligan's for. Don't keep sketchy hands, especially in Vintage. A good 4 or 5 will beat a sketch 7 99 times out of 100. But yeah, as far as the actual spells in this deck go, Displacer Kitten was pretty sick every time it was in play. We actually got a couple of cat-related victories. Arn undeniable, Teferi undeniable. The flex slots in this deck, I guess Spell Pierce could be something else. Having Cruise and Dig in a combo deck like this, usually you have both of these in a Xerox deck that's going to spend a long game casting a bunch of preordains, fetch lands, putting their graveyard full of stuff. I think we could live without Treasure Cruise and get something else in here. Mind Twist is also a hilarious nostalgic hit, and it's a powerful spell if you can cast it, but if you draw it in a mid game, it's not so good. If you're on the draw in a game, it's not so good. Mind Twist, Treasure Cruise, Spell Pierce, I would identify all of those as flex slots. Yogg-Will, probably also a flex slot, as powerful as it is. We're not really a Storm deck, but Value Will does matter. And having 2 Delve spells also steps on Yogg-Will pretty hard. You're using a lot of your graveyard here. But those nitpicks aside, it's hard to argue with the power level of the spells in this deck. Lots of restricted stuff, lots of busted stuff. And we went broken more often than we didn't for a positive record in the league. This sideboard's kind of a mess. Like, I don't think you need Mycosynth Lattice in Vintage. Karn is already Mycosynth Lattice a lot of the time. The one-sided Null Rod and so many games that you don't actually need to lock out with Lattice. We're pretty light on graveyard hate here. There's like Tabernacle, Cormod's Crypt, Grafdigger's Cage, and that's it. No ley lines, no... there's one Pithing Needle that you'd also bring in. It's bizarre, but we're pretty light against that kind of thing. And the Lion's Eye Diamond is only in the sideboard for the Kitten lines, which that might be win more if you have Karn and Kitten. I think a sideboard slot in Vintage is worth more than your 5th or 6th combo in the deck. I think if we have Karn and Kitten in play, we can figure out how to win without an actual infinite loop. And then if you're not doing infinite mana with Karn, then you don't need Ballista. Just get a much tighter Karn package, open up at least 3 sideboard slots here. If you're trying to go maximum Kitten, then leave the deck as it is. If you're trying to win the most matches with Kitten in your deck, I think giving up this combo for actual Vintage sideboard slots is a better way to go. And those are my thoughts on that. Vic Vega, thank you for your Displacer Kitten Vintage brew. This was an absolute delight. The card held up well enough. Vintage can ramp it out pretty quick. I don't think we turned 1 to Kitten. We did turn 2 a Kitten at least once. Feels good. And I'm going to sign off with that. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you for the next one.